to Whodunit. Let's take a look at what you've received. It's a pack of cards, and they are extremely reminiscent of the type of cards that you would find in a very famous murder mystery board game. So we've got the usual characters that you would expect: scarlet, peacock, mustard green, white, and the weapons: revolver, candlestick, rope, all the way through garage, library, kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, billiard room. There are only 6 rooms in this set of cards. In the actual game there are a few more rooms than there are suspects and weapons, but the fact that there are 6 of each I think works well for this set, and it's never been questioned. Now, it may not look exactly like the cards that come with the board game that you're familiar with, and so what I tend to do is I introduce them as, I'll say you're probably familiar with the game, and everyone is, and then when you start to show them the characters and the weapons, they'll immediately know what the game is. And the fact that these cards may not look like their own set at home or what they're familiar with, I cover by simply saying that I got these at an airport, and the actual line I say is this is like a travel version of the game that I picked up at an airport where it was just cards, so there was no board. It was like a travel version. And generally, the fact that I'm saying an airport suggests that perhaps it's from a foreign country, although I'm non-specific about that. And that sort of just generally covers it. And people are familiar with the fact that you can buy sort of different travel versions of certain games at airports. So that works quite well. And of course they are marked, and you know this already, I'm sure. And because you know that, you've no doubt already discovered how they're marked. They're marked up in the top left corner. That is, of course, the top left and the bottom right, but I'm always looking in the top left here, but it's on both ends so that the card is reversible. It doesn't matter which way round it is. And you'll notice that the back pattern basically is built up of just a random assortment of the suspects, the weapons, and the rooms. The actual words are written down, and it changes on each card but only up in this corner, and you can see what it is. So I can see that this is white, and there she is. If I cut at random, that's the kitchen, right? We'll cut again, right? That's the wrench, and it's really very, very straightforward. They are not subtly marked. I wouldn't say it's subtle. Rather, I thought it was important. I feel it's important that you just know what the card is. I don't want any of this business. I want at a glance to know what it is, and from some distance if need be. Having said that, let's talk about peeking these cards while we're here. As I've already said, the fact that they're marked quite clearly does not mean that you should be just reading it off the back of the card. You've been provided with an envelope. You'll have received a little envelope. Now, what I've done, just like in the game you get a little envelope, very much like this one. So I've just sealed the envelope, right? And then I've cut off about 1.5 centimeters from this end to create this little pocket style envelope. And how this works is, or indeed the way that I would prefer to peek the card is, as you'll see in performance, I want my back to, you want to be turned away the whole time as much as possible. So you're not looking. While cards are being selected like this, you know, they're never selected like this. They're always in their hands, and I'm turned away, and that's important. You can't, if you start doing this and then they're taken out, and you know they're going to work out pretty quickly that they're marked cards. However, if everything is turned away and they're getting placed face down into an envelope, it doesn't feel like they could be marked, because at what point do you see the mark? Okay, so let me give you an example of what might happen. I'll take one here at random, and what I would do for the participant is open up for them. And as you can see, I'm not looking at this card, and as you can see, I hope on the close-up camera there, nothing is visible to me on this card. I can't see what that card is in there, and I genuinely can't at the moment. But now I can. And it's the dagger, right? I know it's the dagger, and I can know it's the dagger by placing it on the table just here. Now I can see from here that that card is the dagger card. And that's because the mark is right at the top of the card, and here's how it works. Because while a portion of the card sticks out of the top of the envelope, I still can't see any detail on the card, right? But because the envelope is slightly wider than the cards, and that's why they're this size and shape, that's like game-sized cards as opposed to poker-sized playing cards, which would look odd. They're game-sized cards. What I do is if I just let that buckle, the envelope buckle, then I can clearly see inside what it's written. And more so, even if I just leave it on the table, from your perspective, it still looks like I can see nothing in that envelope. From my perspective, I'm looking right at the mark right now. Albeit the word is upside down, but I can still see exactly which card that is, and this one is the dagger, okay? And that is how I would suggest you think about reading the marks. That's the most important thing I want to get across. The marks are not subtle, but people don't think about marked cards until you point it out to them with your actions, all right? So the more sort of subtle you are in getting the peek, in other words, just because I can look here and see what it is, doesn't mean I should. I should allow them complete free choice, and I'm definitely not looking. Then it goes in an envelope, and now when the guard is down, because obviously I can't see what the card is, and the thought of marks don't come into it, now I see what it is, and now I get my peek. So that's the, if you're to take anything away from this little section, you know, they are not particularly subtly marked, but you must be subtle when you get your peek. Have you ever played the board game where it's a murder mystery board game? You roll the dice, you move the little men about,
Yeah.
and it's in the kitchen with green, with a wrench and stuff like that. I've got some of these cards here, so I want to play a shortened version of that game with you.
Okay.
And these are the cards, similar to the cards that come with that game. These I got at an airport, and it was just like a playing card version, like a travel version, which wasn't very good, but I've still got the cards. And you can see that all the usual characters are there, as well as the rooms and the weapons and all the stuff you would expect to find. So, as you know, in the game, what would happen is we'd place 3 in here that no one would know at the beginning, but this is slightly different. I'm going to sort of try and be a detective and see if you can see how good you are at lying to me, because you're actually going to know the full details of the murder, because you're going to choose who the murderer was, which weapon they used to commit the weapon, and in which room they done that. And then I'm going to try and decipher what those might be. So what I want you to do first is to think of, so I'll write here suspect, right? So think of a suspect, one of the usual suspects. It would be, you know, scarlet or plum or green or whoever you think it might be.
Okay.
Have a look. Do you think you know who?
Yep.
You got somebody? All right. So what you do is you run through there, you see if you can locate them, and when you find them, put it face down inside the envelope, just as you would at the start of the game. All right.
Yeah.
Now I want you to think of the weapon. So I'm going to write down here WP for weapon.
Okay.
And once you know that, let me know. Face down.
Yeah.
Done?
Yeah.
Perfect. And finally, the room. Which room do you think was in? The bathroom, the kitchen, whatever you think it was?
Yep.
Okay? That's fine. You can put your hand on top. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So first of all, I want you to think of the suspect, who you think it might be. And I'm going to... Are you thinking of it right now? But it's easier. It might be easier for me if you just think of the colour, all right? Don't think of the individual. Okay? All right. So I'm going to say that you went for... now think of the weapon.
Yeah.
Now I want you to think to yourself whether it's a metallic weapon. Yeah, okay. Don't say any more, because I got a distinct impression of this. And finally, the room in which it happened. And I'm going to guess, if you think of it now, I'm going to say this. Alright, so what did you get? What did you go for? Take them out of the envelope and show us who you went for.
White.
Oh, Mrs. White, yep. And the weapon was the rope, okay. And the
bedroom.
Mrs. White with the rope in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Mrs. White with the rope.
No way.
You'd make a lousy murderer then.
Are you joking?
So let's talk about the first effect. It was called a simple Whodunit. And it's a very basic effect. It sort of follows the rules of the game. And it's a good one in order to get you familiar with the idea of peeking from the envelope. So let's talk about it. Cards don't start in any order. I don't think they need to. So that you can have them shuffle them, and of course you want to display them and get them familiar with the game, which everyone knows this game, so they'll immediately recognise what's going on. Most people realise that when you start this game, 3 cards are chosen completely at random and placed face down inside an envelope, and that's exactly what you're going to do. So you're going to ask them to think of a suspect. It's a good idea for you to learn the names of these terms. You probably know them off the top of your head already, such as the popularity of this game. So you can offer, you're going to say, I want you to think of a murder suspect right now. Think who you think commits this crime, this imaginary crime. It's either scarlet, plum, mustard, green, white, or peacock. Have you got one in your mind? They have. Fine. Run through this pack. Find that suspect and remove it from the pack. And when you do, and I'm going to hold this, and again, remember that I'm turning away the whole time. Place it face down inside this envelope. And this somewhat mimics the start of the game, except that no one would ordinarily know. So let's say she goes through and she takes this character here. Now I'm going to hold this open for them. They're going to place it inside, and then I'm going to turn the envelope round and say perfect. I'm not going to peek it just yet. I don't need to peek yet. Okay, now I want you to think about what weapon they might have used, and again they think about that, and they're going to remove, let's say, this one. So at the moment, just with the envelope lying on the table, I can see that it's green. I can see that clearly from where I am. I don't know what the weapon is yet, but I'm going to be turned away. So let me get this. Let's just get this clear. This card goes in, then this goes on the table. And I say, now I want you to think about the weapon. What weapon do you think that this character may have used? You think you've got one? Take the cards, run through the cards, find that weapon and remove it. I'm going to turn away. Now look at this, when I'm turning away, I can still see, I can look from here in a sort of gypsy peek fashion, what they call gypsy peeking, where I'm apparently turned away, but I'm actually looking down here. And I can see it like that, or I can casually glance at it while we're talking. There's no heat, remember, because you were turned away while it was chosen, and it appears that there's nothing you can see now because it's in this envelope. But clearly, I know what it is. Regardless, when they've picked out their weapon, what you're going to do, you must ensure that the next card goes above the previous one. So I'm just going to buckle like this and place my finger on the edge. And by doing this, it appears that I'm being helpful, and I am to some extent. But I also don't want them to slide it under there because I need to find out what it is. So I'm going to go like this, and they have got no option but to place this card over the top. And then I'm just going to repeat that for the last one. I'm just remembering these as they go by. Green, and now I look down and I see rope, and I say, but what room was it in? It's either the bedroom, the bathroom, the billiard room, the kitchen, the library, or the garage. Which of the rooms do you think it was in? And it's the same thing again. At this point, while I'm talking, I can look and see that it's rope, so I think green, rope, and I just remember them. And of course, I'm going to do the same for the room. They're going to go through, pick out a room, okay, and again I'm going to put my finger here so that it must go on top, just like so, and I'm done. I can turn back around. So just like in the beginning of the game, we've got 3 cards inside the envelope, and I can look down and click at my leisure. I can look down and see that it's bathroom. Put your hand on top. Then I take out a notepad, and I'm just going to reveal the information. All right, suspect, weapon room, and I do this each time. Actually, gives me an extra little bit of time is I write down suspect, and they think of it. Right now, we're going to deal with weapon. And again, these eyes on the page, my eyes can look around. I can, I'm basically saying you give yourself enough time here to get the peek at your leisure. And you write down room. Just go back and look at the presentation. It's very straightforward, this. And then I write them down: green, rope, bathroom, I think it was. And I've just remembered the 3. And then, of course, this goes face down: green, rope, bathroom. And then you show them your predictions, your findings, or what you've divined. And you're absolutely correct. And that is a fairly straightforward one. And it's called a simple Whodunit. And in fear of repeating myself, have you ever played that murder mystery game where you've got the cards with rope, candlestick, blah blah blah? What you've played the game. Mm-hmm. I've got, obviously the cards are here, but I've also got other little pieces. Mm-hmm. So here's what we're going to do. A couple of choices to be made on your part. I'm going to take all the men away. That's all the 6 weapons are there. And when you take all 6 of them and keep 3 for you and give me 3.
Okay.
I'll put all the little characters back in here. Right, so I got wrench. It looks more like a musket, but it's supposed to be a revolver. And dagger, rope, candlestick, lead pipe. Perfect. But you understand, it was your choice, and you could have ended up with this, and I could have ended up with. Yeah. So let's do the same for the characters, the suspects. Reach in and take 1 for yourself. Green, and 1 for me. Scarlet, we'll speed it up, take 2 for yourself. And I'll have the 2 that's left. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've got 3 random suspects, 3 random weapons. Yeah. Because you could have picked them out in any order, we could have ended up like this, but we didn't. Now we're going to match them up, but match them up with each other's. Like, I'll show you what I mean. So I'll put the revolver here, and then you take 1 of your characters and match them up with that weapon. Alright, so Mustard gets the revolver. Yeah. And then I'm going to match up Peacock with this rope, let's say. Okay. And what you're going to match up next? White with the dagger, fair enough. And I'll say Plum and the lead pipe. Now you've got to give green the wrench, haven't you? So it's green there, gets the wrench, right? Yeah. And then, is that right? Yeah. Yeah? Yeah. So here we go. We've got now a random selection of weapons to each other. You pick them out in a random order. And now we've decided, back and forth, who gets which weapon. There's only one thing left to decide. And that is the room in which the murder takes place. So the choices you have are bedroom, bathroom, billiard room, kitchen, library, or garage. Okay. What are you going for?
Library.
The library, okay. Library. All right. Like this. And now, you just give me a number between 1 and 6.
3.
3. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. But you could have given me 4 or 5. And of course, these could have come out in a different order. The weapons could have come out in a bit. We finally have our suspect or weapon and our room freely chosen by you. And all these guys are in the clear. Yeah. Of course, I showed you the cards earlier, but I didn't show you them all because I didn't want you to notice that there were actually a couple missing. Okay. I don't know if you noticed, but like the start of all games, you take 3 cards and you put them sight unseen inside. I know that's what you're trying to do the whole game. They've been here all along. I don't even know if you noticed them sticking out here. Now let me show you this. Well, why don't you turn it over? Oh, the lead pipe. So now take the next one. Plum, and finally, library. Plum, library, lead pipe. We got them. Okay, so here is the explanation for Murder Match. This is the one that used the actual little pieces. Before we get to these, there's a little bit of preparation with the cards. First thing you do is you go through and you take out Plum and the lead pipe, and they go inside the envelope, and these go I tuck them in the back of the notepad there so that they're visible but not in play. So they'll be noticed but you don't mention them, right? So visible but not in play. And then you take the cards and you arrange to have all of the rooms on top. Bathroom, kitchen, garage, bedroom, billiard room, library. That's the 6 rooms and they're all on top of the stack, and that's it. And at the beginning you introduce the game by showing a few characters and a few weapons, and they'll get what the game is. That's fine, you place them aside. And now we're going to talk about the selection process for these. What you are going to end up with in this effect is that your 2 force objects, plum and the lead pipe, will end up in a row, and the plum and the lead pipe will be 4th in that row, or 3rd from the left, or 4th from the right, whichever way you want to look at it. Now there's a couple of different scenarios, but it's very straightforward, and I'll show you exactly how it works. Because it's going to appear that they get free choices, and no matter what happens, and they have got free choices to some extent, but you will always be able to manipulate proceedings so that plum and the lead pipe end up in 4th position or 3rd position, depending in that position in the row. I'll show you how. Tip out the pieces and give them all the weapons, and say that's the 6 weapons there, and instruct them. Take 3 for yourself, any 3 you like, give me the other 3. That's it. As they do that, I'm going to put these characters back in the bag, but I'm not going to put the purple one back. I'm going to finger palm him, or in fact just hold him out. And the rest of these go back. There's no heat on this. Don't run because you're not being chased at the moment. And I hold the bag like this, and that's it. Now, so there are only 5 in here. Now, here's what's important. So you're holding this out, you've got the bag here, they're going to divide these weapons up. So let's say that when they divide the weapons up, they have given themselves the lead pipe. They've given it to themselves. That's one of your force objects. Because they get the lead pipe, you must make sure that you get the plum character who's in finger palm. And the way you do it is you simply have them choose, because they have the lead pipe, they choose for themselves first. So they take one out and they give themselves a character, and now they choose one for you. And now speed things up, take 2 for yourself, which they do. And of course there's only 1 left, but I'm going to tip it out. It's going to coalesce with the one in finger palm, and I get the last 2. So I have achieved what I'm trying to achieve, and that is because they've got the lead pipe, I end up with the other force character, in this case, plum. Now, let's imagine it had gone the other way, and that upon dividing up the weapons, they had given me the lead pipe. Well, in that case, they have to end up with the plum character, and the way you do it in this case is because I have the plum, they choose for me first. That's how you remember it. If they have it, then they choose a character for themselves first. If I have it, then it's for me first. So they reach in, choose one for me, they do. Choose one for you, they do. Speed it up, choose 2 for me, please, they do. And then I tip out these, and you get the last 2, just like that. And we've achieved the goal again. They have 1 force object, and I have the other. Okay, so now all that's left to do is to get them in a row and make sure that this plum character and this lead pipe end up in 4th position. And that is 4th, the 4th goal will be, I'll show you what I mean. So here's the simple rule that you remember. This is your participant here. Whichever force object they have, in this case it's plum, well, that means that the only choices that they get to make will be using the weapons, because you never want them to make a decision based on this character. You want to match him up. So the way you do that is you say to them, they're going to go first every time, but you're going to say, I want you to take one of your weapons and match it up with one of my characters or one of my suspects. And then you're going to do the same. You're going to take shots each. And because they're only ever allowed to take a weapon and match it with your suspects, that means they are never going to be allowed to make a decision that involves this character or this weapon, because they're only matching up weapons with characters. You understand? So it would go like this. Let's say they pick this rope and they match it up with this character white. Then I would take this and match it up with this. Then they might take this wrench and match it up with this character. And now this is fourth in the row. I would pick up this weapon and match it up with that character. And there I go, I've got Plum and the lead pipe in fourth position. Then they would be forced to match this character with this one, and then the last two would be this. And there, 1, 2, 3, 4, there it is in position. Let's look at the other scenario where they don't have the lead pipe. They don't have Plum, but they do have the lead pipe. Alright, and over here I've got Plum and 3 random weapons. Well, they're going to go first again as we form the row, but in this case I never want them to make a decision that involves this weapon. So I'm going to ask them, because they've got the weapon, they're going to go first. I'm going to ask them to take one of their characters and match it up with my weapon. And you can see now that they'll only be allowed to take characters and match them up with these 3, so they'll never get an opportunity to pair this with this or anything else. So in this case, it would be take one of your characters, match it up with one of my weapons. They do. And I will do the same. Character and a weapon. They're going to do the same. Character, weapon. And now we're back in this position where I'm going to take, because I want Plum and the lead pipe here, I'm going to take my character and that weapon. Then they're left to match up this and this, and the only 2 that are left go on the end. And once again, I'm in the desired position with Plum and the lead pipe in this position 4 right here. And that is it. And that is how it appears that they're allowed to separate weapons and characters willy-nilly and match them up as they see fit. But you're going to subtly structure proceedings so that these 2 will always end up right here. They're allowed a completely free choice of room, because all the rooms are on top of this pack here and they're marked so you can clearly see what they are. Ask them what room they would like, and let's say they say library, so I'm going to put library on here. Alright, and then take out the page, and again this red envelope is here in view but not in play. I'm going to fold this in half just to make it a bit smaller. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to ask them for a number between 1 and 6. And this is the venerable hot rod force. Yes, other forces are available and other better forces are available, but I couldn't resist seeing 6 different coloured things in a row and not reminiscing about the hot rod effect. The hot rod force, for those who don't know, involves either counting or spelling depending on what number is chosen. If they chose the number 1, then you would spell O-N-E to end up here. If they chose, let's just slide these back a little bit. If they chose 2, you would do the same thing. You would spell T-W-O. And that's this one. If they say 3, you count 1, 2, 3. If they say 4, you count, but you count from this end. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if they say 5, you spell again, but you spell from this end. F-I-V-E. And if they say 6, you spell S-I-X. No matter which number is chosen between 1 and 6, you're going to end up in this position. Plum, lead pipe, library. Now all these can go away. And now you're going to talk about the cards. Remember, I showed you the cards earlier, but I didn't show you all of them because I didn't want you to notice that 3 were missing. Now all I've done there is I've just been looking through them. Alright, so I'm looking at the marks and I'll sort of read out what I'm seeing. I'm seeing bathroom, kitchen, garage, bedroom, billiard room. Alright, so the library is actually the last one here, but that's fine. Because I didn't want you to know that 3 were missing already. Now I separate here, libraries here, these go underneath, and that's it. It's very, very casual as you demonstrate 3 of these cards are actually missing. You're going to get whichever one they've chosen, library, to the top of the pack. And you're going to make it look like it comes out of this envelope. But because there are cards in there, we can do it quite fairly, and here's how it looks. I'm going to say, I don't know if you noticed, but I've actually removed 3 cards in there, just like you would at the start of any game. I took 3 cards out earlier and I placed them inside this envelope, which is good because that's familiar with how the game works and everything. And they can clearly see that there are cards in there, and you can be ultra. I'm going to take a break above this top one, but I can be really fair. I don't need to go near the top of the pack. I'm going to say here, why don't you turn this over and see what it is? Now, as they turn it over, here's what I do. They're going to turn this over and find that it's correct. But as they turn it over and focus goes here, here's what I do in this hand. I'm simply just going to do this and lift out the card in the envelope and the one above the break. Alright, so one comes out fairly, goes there. While that's getting turned over, that's what you do. That's the one from above the break and the one that was in the envelope. By the time this is turned over, take the next one, you say, and they take whichever one they deem to be the next one. And of course, they're going to turn these over one by one and realise that despite all this, what appears to be very fair matching up, a lot of choices on their part, certainly, has ended up that you have predicted exactly how it would all end. Library, plum, lead pipe, and that's called Murder Match. Emma, I'm sure you're aware of the game. It's a board game, like a murder mystery.
Yeah.
Where it's Whodunit and what room with the thing. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. We've got some of the cards here. Suspects will be familiar to you, perhaps.
Yeah.
As you know, at the start of that game, what happens is that a suspect is chosen, nobody knows who it is.
Yeah.
Then a weapon gets chosen, nobody knows who that is. And then a location is chosen, which room the murder was committed in.
Yeah.
So just like in the game, I want you to take these suspects, mix them up face down, so you don't know, I won't look, and then take any one face down without looking, of course, and place it inside the envelope. And just like the start of that game, we will now have a mystery murderer, right?
Yeah.
And now, of course, we do the weapon, right? So mix up the weapons face down so no one knows which order. Take one at random so even you don't know, and place it face down inside the envelope, put the others aside. And finally, the locations, you can do that now, mix them up. And when you're done, slip it inside the envelope. Alright?
Yeah.
So 3 things that no one knows, no one can possibly know. This is how the game normally starts. But what I want you to do is, in this instance, is going to be kind of different, because I'm going to give you the information. You're going to know who the murderer is, first of all, and then I'm going to try and read your mind and see if I can work it out, like detective, you know, like Sherlock Holmes style detection, where I'm just going to somehow work it out. So we dealt with the murderer first, the suspect first.
Yeah.
And you don't know who it is, but it should be on the face here. Take out the lower card there. So now you know who the suspect is, right?
Yeah.
Pop it down on the table. Okay, perfect. And now what I'm going to try and do is read your mind, and I'm going to try and think of what it might be. So, because you're thinking of a murderer, so you're either thinking of a colour or a bird or a condiment. So keep thinking of it.
Mhm.
I think it's going to be... No, I'm going to change that. Hang on. I think I'm going to go with this. Okay, I'm happy somewhat with that answer. That is my guess. I'll leave it here. That's my guess. That's who I think you were thinking of, the murderer. Now, what did they commit this crime with? This is the next question. That was the next one along, so take it out, have a look, and you'll find out for the first time what you randomly chose. You know what the weapon is?
Yeah.
Place it face down. And I want you to think now of the weapon. Okay, I think I've got it. Hang on. I'm going to say... No. Yeah. This is it. It's not an exact science, but we'll see how it goes. And that's my guess. And the last thing, of course, is the room in which the murder was committed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the last one in there, so take a look at what the room is. You got it?
Yep.
Okay, and think of it now. And I'm going to say... It's quite difficult because... No. Okay. I'm reading you loud and clear. That's my last one. I don't know how well I've done. Honestly, because it's not an exact science. Let's see what the three cards are. Hold on to these. We've got Colonel Mustard with the rope in the billiard room.
Yeah.
Take a look. Who have you got?
Got the rope.
The rope. Billiard room. I knew you were thinking of a condiment. Mustard.
Well
and that is,
done.
as a Cockney might say, mustard. So there you go. The weird thing, I must tell you, is that ahead of time, I must tell you this, because I had a sort of premonition about this, and so I placed a little envelope inside my pocket. Before we started, of course, and inside I placed a little post-it note on which I had written a prediction as to how this might go ahead of time. Would you read it out, please? You take it.
I predict 3 murder cards will be
The 3 murder cards will be
suspect, mustard, weapon, rope, room, billiard room.
There you go. That's it. Sherlock Holmes style.
You just need the hat.
Yeah, I think I need a lot more than that. Double murder. This is called where you read their mind and you decipher which 3 cards were placed randomly into the envelope, and then you prove ahead of time that you had predicted that exact outcome. Bit of preparation, and I'll show you what you need to do. The cards. You don't actually have to prepare the cards. They can be in any order, but if you want to make it a little bit easier on yourself, separate them into characters, suspects, weapons, followed by rooms. But you don't need to. You can do it just as you bring them out of the pack. That's that. Now, obviously, here we're going to need this, which is you're going to be double writing here, obviously. And you need to prepare an envelope, so you need to write information inside an envelope. I'll show you what I mean. So here's a post-it note, and I've written, I predict the 3 murder cards will be, and then I wrote suspect, weapon, room, dash, dash, dash. That's all written specifically in that place, just like this. And then what I do is I fold the top half under, so it's not quite all the way, but, you know, I leave about 1 centimetre here. Then I'm folding in maybe 1 centimetre on this side. And then I fold this in half, but then I unfold it again. Alright? So there's a crease there, but you unfold it. I'll just show you that one more time. I predict the 3 murder cards will be suspect, weapon, room. Fold this bit down, this bit in, and then this bit, but open it up again. Now, exact dimensions, I don't know, because it depends how big you cut the hole in your envelope. Here's my little brown envelope, and I'll just show you now that if I take this part here and I slide it inside the envelope all the way down to the bottom, there you go. So what I can see on my little dash is suspect, weapon, room, dash, 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 and that's really all I need access to, and I can write in here. And now what I do is I tuck the flap in, like so. Fold the whole envelope in half, because of course that post-it note is only down here, it's not up here, so you fold the envelope in half like so. And now I'm going to use this. Now this is a spy pad, Mark Elson's spy pad, which we sell at Full 52. The reason I'm using it is not only because it's a great impression device, but because it has this band around it. Many notepads have this band on it, and it's good because what I can do is I can slip this right underneath here. All right, and because it's a sort of fabric band, I can easily slide it up and down if I need to get access to different parts of the page. All right, so that's suspect, weapon, room, and close the envelope, the notepad. And that's that. Now I'm going to be using a marker pen. In reality, you would use a ballpoint pen. It's just so you can see it on the video. Okay, so that's it. Now in this instance, it's more in keeping with the board game, in as much as no one will know what the 3 cards are that go in the envelope. And then we're going to use a one ahead principle. So here's what I do. I'm going to take them out and say, look, I want you to take all the suspect cards, and they can mix them up. You turn your back. They're going to take one at random and place it inside the envelope. Great. And then these get placed aside, and you ask them to do the same with the weapons, which they do. And this is very, very much in keeping with how this game begins. You're going to hold it open for them, again using your finger to help them out so that it goes on top. I'm not looking at anything or peeking any information at this point, definitely not, because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm going to say here's the, because I'm trying to keep it subtle, right? I don't want them to think that I'm looking or that it matters, and they don't know what these are at this point. This is really quite strong. They're going to take one at random, and they're going to add this to these. You can tell that we hide the rest, and again I'm going to use my finger to ensure that this one goes on top. So the order of the cards inside the envelope from the top down is room, weapon, suspect on the bottom. Now, what I'm going to do now is peek the top card, so I'm going to know what the room is. If I look down, I can see now that the one that's been chosen at random there is the garage. So I know what the room is, but that's not what I'm going to apparently read. What I'm apparently going to read is the suspect, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to say now, no one knows what they are, but I'm going to actually give you the information. You will know and then I'm going to try and read your mind. Okay? So I know that it's garage, but what I'm going to do is show them the suspect. That's the bottom card, and say, do you see what the suspect is? Good. Place it here on the table, and I can tell them to put their hand on top. I'm not going to look. I'm going to place the envelope down, and now I'm just going to move straight to the notepad. They think I'm trying to read that. I'm not even going to look at what this suspect is yet. I'm not interested at the moment. All I'm thinking of is garage. So I open this up, and I'm going to fake some double writing. I'm going to because I'm double writing, I want to write a few things and maybe score a few bits out, right? So it makes sense that I write a couple of things. So if I look here, I know that's suspect, weapon, room. So at the bottom here, I'm going to write garage. Okay. Then up here, I'm going to write like white. I'm going to write something like bathroom, right? So I'm writing, and then maybe score it out, and then write garage, like so. So I sort of write the name of another room, one that I know it's not, score it out, then write, and I'm taking my time. So I've written a few things. So the fact that I've written in 2 separate areas should somewhat be covered, hopefully. I'm going to tear this page out without them seeing what I've written. Put the notepad down, screw it in a ball, and then I'm going to ask them to lift their hand as I place, apparently, who I think the suspect is on top of this. But this says garage, right? And I'm placing it on the suspect card. When they lift their hand, I put the ball on, I read that card, and I can see, I'm going to put the ball here, I can see that that's mustard. All right, so they have their hand on top of mustard. All right, that's fine. That's my new bit of information. That's all I care about. I'm going to ask them now to look at the next card down, which is the weapon, because I'm going to now apparently pick up on which weapon that it is. They take the card. It goes down here. They put their hand on top. The envelope goes down. Not interested in anything else except mustard. That's what I'm thinking about. Mustard is what I know what it is. this goes suspect, weapon. So I write up, again I can move it with my thumb a little if I need a bit of access, and I'm going to write up here mustard. Then I'm going to write up here, maybe I'm going to write white, then score it out, then write mustard. Alright, then I'm going to tear this page out. Again, they don't get to see it. Screw it up in a ball and ask them to raise their hand as I place apparently who I think the suspect is onto this card, which I read as candlestick. So now I know my next bit of information. This last one I already know. So at this point they can take that out themselves, have a look, put it on the table, put their hand on top, and of course all that's left to do is to write in here candlestick. So I write in candlestick. Okay, and I'm apparently picking up which room it is. And I might start to write revolver and then score it out, and then underneath write candlestick. And again, this gets pulled out and I screw it in a little ball, and that's it. We're pretty much complete. However, you've probably noticed, of course, that these are not on the correct cards, and that's fine. We're going to cover that up fine. Here I am. This is what I've committed, and it appears as though I've read each one of them in turn. That's what it looks like. This is the suspect, this is the weapon, but they're not in the correct order. That's all right, because we need to turn the cards over, and in order to do that, I need to pick them up. So I just say, hold these. Let's see what they were. Mustard, candlestick, garage. Would you open up the paper balls? Now, as they're opening up these paper balls, it's going to take a bit of time, and they're going to match each of them individually with these. As they're doing this, let's just do it, and then we'll imagine that this is still going on. So these get opened up now, and of course they're not in any specific order because they got mixed up, and it's garage there. Well done. This one will be mustard. Well, we got that correct as well. And finally it'll be candlestick. Now look at how long this takes, and I'm sort of getting through it quickly, but you see how now I have ample time as these reveals it. And this is strong because it appears that you could never have peeked, really. You've had your head turned away where appropriate. You've managed to work out the three cards, and you've got each of them, and they're having to unroll these pulls. As that's happening, it is an easy matter for me to steal this out from under the rubber band into finger palm. I can load it into a wallet. I can go, I can do pretty much anything with it. Now, what you might want to consider actually is just placing the pad away inside a pocket, and then later when you go in, see, I've also got an envelope. Did I show you the envelope? I don't remember if I showed you. And then I'm going to reach in my pocket and just remove the envelope. You could do that. But frankly, there's so much going on here with the paper balls. It's no trouble at all simply to pull that out into finger palm, load it into a compartment of a wallet. I think in performance I simply stuck it in my pocket and then later pulled it out. But let me show you just quickly how you want to deal with opening the envelope, because there's something you can do, a subtle convincer here. So the envelope's going to come out either from a wallet, from a pocket, or whatever you decide, and obviously you don't want to show them this side for obvious reasons. They come out like this, and then I'm going to let it unfold like so. Now this would be tucked in at this point, so it's tucked in like that. Now what I can do is, because I put that crease in it earlier, I can now sort of fold it up smaller than what it is, and hide the part that I wrote on. Let me show you what I mean. Remember, there's a crease down here that I've folded and unfolded again. Now I've written the three things in here. So what I can do is open this up like so, and then reach inside and like this. So I'm going to reach inside the envelope like this. Now this is not a move or anything, but just as it comes out, I can fold it again and then hand it out like this. And that means that the part I've written on is actually not accessible, it's inside. Now again, it's not a move or anything you want to give too much thought to, but it is an added convincer that you can do. So you pop the flap open, and just as I reach in, and then just as I hand it out, I can fold it in half again, and that's the general idea. You hand it out, so you're handing out this smaller billet where it appears that the pertinent information is on the inside and there's no way you could have accessed it. The envelope goes away, and of course they open it up and they read, I predict the 3 murder cards will be mustard, candlestick, garage, and that appears that you've predicted ahead of time the outcome, as well as read their minds in real time, and that is called double murder. Now that's all for now. Thank you for your interest in Whodunit. I do hope you enjoy using the cards, and obviously the few routines I've laid out here are I don't think that's the end of it. I think they're examples of what you might do. Obviously it's up to you what you do with them. I'm sure there's much ground to be covered. So I hope you come up with your own stuff, and if you do, please do let me know about it. If you haven't stopped by my website, please do that. It's www.full52.com. My name is Dave Forrest, and I will see you next time.